Question 1. The monitoring system demonstrates a consistent increase in latency for critical business transactions processed through Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Application Integration. The latency spikes are observed across multiple user sessions, indicating a systemic issue within the integration layer rather than isolated client problems. Which of the following approaches is the most effective for diagnosing and resolving this performance degradation? Option A. Immediately escalate the issue to Oracle support, assuming a widespread Oracle Cloud Infrastructure platform outage affecting all services. Option B. Focus solely on the client-side application's performance metrics and logs, as the latency is perceived by the end users. Option C. Correlate the latency spikes with specific integration flows and their constituent Oracle Cloud Infrastructure services by examining integration logs, API gateway metrics, and relevant OCI service performance data. Option D. Randomly restart various Oracle Cloud Infrastructure application integration components and related services to see if the latency resolves. Correct answer is C. Correlate the latency spikes with specific integration flows and their constituent Oracle Cloud Infrastructure services by examining integration logs, API gateway metrics, and relevant OCI service performance data. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration, identifying the root cause of performance degradation when multiple services are involved. The professional must distinguish between genuine system failures, configuration issues, and external factors impacting integration performance. The challenge lies in accurately attributing the performance impact to a specific component or integration flow without causing unnecessary disruption or misallocating resources. This requires a systematic approach to impact assessment, leveraging monitoring data effectively. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves correlating the observed latency spikes with specific integration flows and their constituent Oracle Cloud Infrastructure services. This method represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the core of the problem by isolating the affected integration components. By examining the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Application Integration Service logs, API gateway metrics, and potentially underlying compute or database services involved in the integration, the professional can pinpoint the exact point of failure or bottleneck. This targeted approach minimizes the risk of overreacting to transient issues or impacting unrelated services. It aligns with the principle of least privilege and efficient resource management, ensuring that remediation efforts are focused and effective, thereby maintaining service-level agreements, SLAs, and customer trust. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach is to immediately assume a widespread Oracle Cloud Infrastructure outage. This is a failure of professional reasoning because it bypasses the necessary diagnostic steps. While a platform-wide outage is possible, it is statistically less likely than a specific integration issue. Acting on this assumption without evidence could lead to unnecessary escalation, wasted support resources, and a delay in identifying the actual problem, potentially violating SLAs. Another incorrect approach is to focus solely on the client-side application's performance without investigating the integration layer. This is a regulatory and ethical failure because it neglects the professional's responsibility to ensure the integrity and performance of the integrated systems. The latency is occurring within the integration flow, and ignoring the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Application Integration components means failing to uphold the service contract and potentially misleading the client about the true cause of the issue. A third incorrect approach is to randomly restart integration components or services without a clear hypothesis. This is a risky and unprofessional practice. It can exacerbate the problem, introduce new issues, or mask the original cause, making root cause analysis impossible. It also demonstrates a lack of systematic problem solving, which is a fundamental ethical expectation for IT professionals responsible for critical systems. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach such scenarios by adopting a structured troubleshooting methodology. This begins with clearly defining the observed problem, e.g., increased latency. Next, they should gather relevant data from all involved components, prioritizing the integration layer as indicated by the monitoring system. This involves examining logs, metrics, and traces within Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Application Integration, API Gateway, and any other relevant OCI services. Formulating hypotheses based on this data allows for targeted testing and validation. If a specific integration flow is identified, further investigation into its constituent services, e.g., databases, messaging queues, external APIs, is warranted. This systematic data-driven approach ensures that the root cause is accurately identified and addressed efficiently, minimizing business impact and adhering to professional standards of care. Question 2. Regulatory review indicates that the integration of Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, with existing on-premises financial reporting systems requires careful consideration of data residency and audit trail requirements. Which of the following approaches best ensures compliance with these regulatory mandates during the integration process? Option A. Prioritize the rapid deployment of the OIC integration to meet business deadlines, deferring a detailed review of data residency and audit trail compliance to a post-implementation audit. Option B. Rely solely on the OCI vendor's standard compliance documentation to confirm that the integration meets all specific data residency and audit trail requirements without conducting an internal assessment. Option C. Proceed with the integration assuming Oracle Cloud infrastructures, global compliance certifications automatically satisfy all specific data residency and audit trail requirements for the on-premises financial reporting systems. Option D. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment that specifically evaluates OIC's capabilities for data residency and audit trail generation against the established regulatory framework, developing mitigation strategies for any identified gaps before deployment. The correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment that specifically evaluates OIC's capabilities for data residency and audit trail generation against the established regulatory framework, developing mitigation strategies for any identified gaps before deployment. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration projects where new services are introduced. The professional challenge lies in ensuring that the integration of a new Oracle Cloud infrastructure, OCI service, specifically Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, with existing on-premises systems adheres to the relevant regulatory framework for application integration professionals. The complexity arises from the need to balance functional requirements with compliance obligations, particularly concerning data handling, security, and auditability, without introducing new risks or violating existing mandates. Careful judgment is required to select an integration strategy that is both effective and compliant. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough impact assessment that specifically evaluates the OCI service's compliance with the established regulatory framework. This assessment must consider how the OCI service will handle data, manage access controls, maintain audit trails, and ensure data privacy in accordance with the governing regulations. By proactively identifying potential compliance gaps and developing mitigation strategies before deployment, the integration team ensures that the new service aligns with legal and ethical obligations. This demonstrates best professional practice by prioritizing compliance and risk management, thereby safeguarding the organization from potential penalties, reputational damage, and operational disruptions. This proactive stance is a cornerstone of responsible application integration. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to assume that OCI services are inherently compliant with all applicable regulations without independent verification. This assumption bypasses the critical due diligence required for impact assessment and can lead to regulatory violations if the service's default configurations or functionalities do not meet specific legal requirements. This represents an ethical failure by neglecting the professional responsibility to ensure compliance. Another incorrect approach is to prioritize speed of deployment over a comprehensive impact assessment. While efficiency is important, rushing the integration without fully understanding its regulatory implications can result in the introduction of non-compliant processes or data handling practices. This is a professional failure as it prioritizes expediency over the fundamental duty to integrate responsibly and compliantly. A third incorrect approach is to delegate the entire compliance responsibility to the OCI vendor without performing an internal assessment. While vendors provide compliance documentation, the ultimate responsibility for ensuring that the integrated solution meets the organization's specific regulatory obligations rests with the organization itself. Relying solely on vendor assurances without internal validation is a significant regulatory and ethical lapse. Professional reasoning. professionals should adopt a risk-based approach to impact assessment. This involves identifying all relevant regulatory requirements, understanding the functionalities and data flows of the OCI service, and systematically evaluating how the integration will affect compliance. Key steps include: 1. Identifying applicable regulations. Understand the specific laws and guidelines governing application integration within the relevant jurisdiction. 2. Mapping data flows. Document how data will move between OCI and on-premises systems. 3. Assessing security controls. Evaluate authentication, authorization, encryption, and logging mechanisms. 4. Reviewing data privacy implications. Ensure compliance with data protection principles. 5. Documenting findings and mitigation plans. Record any identified risks and outline steps to address them. 6. Seeking expert consultation. Engage legal or compliance teams when necessary. This structured process ensures that all compliance aspects are considered, leading to a robust and legally sound integration solution. Question 3. The audit findings indicate that the planned integration of a new Oracle CX Sales Cloud application with existing on-premises Oracle E-Business Suite financials may introduce unforeseen risks to financial data integrity and reporting accuracy. Which of the following approaches best addresses this potential impact? Option A. Rely on the vendor's standard integration connectors and assume that the data synchronization will be accurate and complete without further validation. Option B. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment that includes detailed mapping of data flows, dependency analysis between the cloud and on-premises systems, and evaluation of potential disruptions to critical financial business processes and reporting cycles. Option C. Prioritize the technical connectivity and performance metrics of the integration, deferring detailed analysis of data transformation logic and business process impact to post-implementation testing. Option D. Delegate the entire impact assessment responsibility to the Oracle CX Sales implementation team, assuming they have full visibility into the on-premises financial systems intricacies. The correct answer is B. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment that includes detailed mapping of data flows, dependency analysis between the cloud and on-premises systems, and evaluation of potential disruptions to critical financial business processes and reporting cycles. Explanation. Scenario analysis. The audit findings highlight a potential gap in the integration process, specifically concerning the impact of a new cloud-based CRM system on existing on-premises financial applications. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a thorough understanding of how disparate systems interact, the potential downstream effects of changes, and the regulatory implications of data integrity and availability. A failure to conduct a comprehensive impact assessment can lead to operational disruptions, data corruption, compliance violations, and significant financial losses. Careful judgment is required to identify all affected components, assess risks accurately, and propose appropriate mitigation strategies. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and documented impact assessment that traces data flows, identifies dependencies between the new CRM and the financial applications, and evaluates potential disruptions to critical business processes. This aligns with best professional practices for application integration and cloud adoption, emphasizing proactive risk management and ensuring business continuity. From a regulatory perspective, particularly within the context of financial data, this approach supports compliance with data integrity and security standards by ensuring that integration changes do not compromise the accuracy or accessibility of financial records. It demonstrates due diligence in understanding and mitigating the risks associated with system changes. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach is to assume that the integration will be seamless due to the use of standard APIs, without verifying the specific data transformations and error handling mechanisms. This overlooks the potential for subtle incompatibilities or unexpected behaviors that could lead to data discrepancies in the financial system, violating principles of data accuracy and potentially leading to regulatory noncompliance. Another incorrect approach is to focus solely on the technical connectivity between the CRM and the financial application, neglecting the impact on end users and business processes. This can result in a system that is technically integrated but functionally unusable or inefficient, leading to operational failures and potential breaches of service-level agreements, which can have indirect regulatory consequences related to service provision. A third incorrect approach is to defer the impact assessment to the development team responsible for the CRM implementation, without involving the stakeholders of the financial applications. This siloed approach increases the risk of overlooking critical dependencies or business requirements, potentially leading to integration failures that compromise financial reporting and audit trails, thereby failing to meet regulatory expectations for robust financial systems. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured, cross-functional approach to impact assessment. This involves 1. Identifying all systems and processes that will interact with or be affected by the new integration. 2. Mapping data flows and dependencies between these components. 3. Evaluating the potential impact on data integrity, availability, security, and performance. 4. Assessing the effect on business processes and end-user experience. 5. Documenting findings, risks, and proposed mitigation strategies. 6. Obtaining sign-off from all relevant stakeholders, including business owners, IT, and compliance teams. This systematic process ensures that all potential risks are identified and addressed proactively, aligning with regulatory requirements for system stability, data accuracy, and operational resilience. Question 4. Quality control measures reveal that an existing Oracle Integration Cloud (OIC) service responsible for processing customer order data and feeding it into a financial reporting system requires an update to accommodate new product attributes. What is the most professional and compliant approach to manage this change? Option A. Proceed with the update immediately to ensure the new product attributes are available for reporting as soon as possible. Option B. Review only the OIC service's configuration and the new product attribute mapping. Option C. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment that analyzes the integration's dependencies, data transformations, and potential effects on downstream financial reporting and compliance. Option D. Update the OIC service, and then monitor the financial reporting system for any immediate errors. The correct answer is A. Proceed with the update immediately to ensure the new product attributes are available for reporting as soon as possible. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration projects, ensuring that changes to an existing integration service do not negatively impact downstream systems or business processes. Professional challenge lies in balancing the need for innovation and improvement with the imperative to maintain stability and compliance. A hasty or incomplete impact assessment can lead to unexpected downtime, data corruption, or failure to meet regulatory reporting requirements, all of which have significant financial and reputational consequences. The complexity is amplified in a cloud environment where dependencies can be intricate and span multiple services. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and thorough impact assessment that considers all potential ramifications of the proposed change. This includes identifying all direct and indirect dependencies of the integration service, analyzing the data flows and transformation logic, and evaluating the potential effects on performance, security, and compliance. For the 1Z0-1042-23 exam jurisdiction, this aligns with best practices for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OSI, integration services, emphasizing a proactive and risk-averse methodology. A comprehensive assessment ensures that potential issues are identified and mitigated before deployment, thereby upholding the integrity of business operations and adhering to service-level agreements, SLAs, and any relevant data governance policies. This methodical approach minimizes the risk of service disruption and ensures that the integration continues to meet its intended business objectives and regulatory obligations. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing the change without a formal impact assessment is a direct violation of prudent IT governance and risk management principles. This approach ignores potential ripple effects, leading to unforeseen failures in dependent systems. From a regulatory perspective, this could result in non-compliance with data integrity requirements or audit trails, as the impact on data processing and reporting would be unknown. Performing a superficial review of the integration's immediate inputs and outputs, while seemingly efficient, is insufficient. It fails to account for indirect dependencies or the cumulative effect of changes on system performance or data consistency over time. This oversight can lead to subtle but critical failures that are difficult to diagnose and rectify, potentially impacting regulatory reporting accuracy or data privacy controls. focusing solely on the technical functionality of the integration service, without considering the business processes it supports, is another critical failure. This narrow perspective overlooks how the integration contributes to broader business workflows and regulatory compliance. For example, an integration might technically function correctly but fail to produce the required output format for a regulatory filing, leading to noncompliance. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured approach to impact assessment. This involves 1. Defining the scope of the change clearly. 2. Identifying all direct and indirect dependencies, systems, data, processes. 3. Analyzing the potential impact on functionality, performance, security, and compliance. 4. Documenting findings and proposed mitigation strategies. 5. Obtaining stakeholder approval based on the assessment. 6. Planning for rollback if necessary. This systematic process, grounded in risk management and adherence to OCI best practices, ensures that changes are implemented responsibly and sustainably. Question 5. Implementation of an Oracle integration cloud solution to ingest customer order data from an e-commerce platform and feed it into a third-party business intelligence and analytics platform for trend analysis, where the customer order data contains personally identifiable information, PI such as names, addresses, and contact details, and the third-party platform has a less stringent security certification than required for direct handling of PII. What is the most compliant and secure approach for integrating this data? Option A. Implement data masking and anonymization with an Oracle integration cloud to remove or obfuscate PII before the data is sent to the third-party analytics platform. Option B. Transfer all raw customer order data, including PII, to the third-party analytics platform and rely on its built-in security features to protect the data. Option C. Exclude all customer order data containing PII from the integration process to avoid any potential data exposure risks. Option D. Transmit the raw customer order data with PII to the third-party analytics platform and then implement data filtering and deletion processes within the analytics platform after ingestion. The correct answer is A. Implement data masking and anonymization with an Oracle integration cloud to remove or obfuscate PII before the data is sent to the third-party analytics platform. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration, ensuring data privacy and compliance when integrating disparate systems, especially when sensitive customer data is involved. The professional challenge lies in balancing the need for seamless data flow for business operations with the stringent requirements of data protection regulations. Misinterpreting or neglecting these requirements can lead to significant legal penalties, reputational damage, and loss of customer trust. The complexity arises from the distributed nature of cloud services and the potential for data to traverse multiple environments, each with its own security and compliance considerations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves implementing robust data masking and anonymization techniques with an Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, before data is transferred to the less secure third-party analytics platform. This aligns with the principle of data minimization and purpose limitation, fundamental tenets of data protection regulations. By masking or anonymizing sensitive fields, e.g., personally identifiable information like names, addresses, social security numbers, at the integration layer, the organization ensures that only necessary, non-sensitive data is exposed to the analytics platform. This proactive measure significantly reduces the risk of a data breach impacting sensitive customer information, thereby upholding compliance with data privacy laws. This approach demonstrates a commitment to security by design and privacy by design, which are best practices in modern application integration. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach is to rely solely on the security measures of the third-party analytics platform. This is a regulatory and ethical failure because it shifts the responsibility for protecting sensitive data to an external entity without adequate verification or control. Data protection regulations often mandate that organizations maintain control over their data and ensure that any third-party processors adhere to equivalent or higher standards. Simply trusting the platform's security is insufficient and can lead to violations if the platform's controls are inadequate or breached. Another incorrect approach is to transfer all raw customer data to the analytics platform and then attempt to implement data filtering or deletion post-transfer. This is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It exposes the complete dataset to potential compromise during transit and storage on the analytics platform, increasing the attack surface. Furthermore, attempting to rectify a data exposure after it has occurred is reactive rather than proactive and may not fully mitigate the risks or comply with breach notification requirements. Data protection laws emphasize preventing unauthorized access and disclosure in the first place. A third incorrect approach is to exclude sensitive customer data entirely from the integration process, even if it is critical for the analytics. This, while seemingly secure, can be an operational and potentially a regulatory failure if the business objective of the analytics cannot be met without this data. If the analytics are intended to provide insights that require this data for meaningful analysis, then simply omitting it renders the integration ineffective and may lead to suboptimal business decisions. The regulatory expectation is to find compliant ways to use data, not to avoid using it altogether if it's necessary for legitimate business purposes, provided appropriate safeguards are in place. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach. First, identify all sensitive data elements involved in the integration. Second, understand the specific data protection regulations applicable to the data and its intended use. Third, evaluate the security and compliance posture of all integrated systems, including third-party platforms. Fourth, design the integration to incorporate security controls, such as encryption in transit and at rest, and data masking or anonymization, at the earliest possible point in the data flow. Fifth, conduct regular audits and reviews of the integration and connected systems to ensure ongoing compliance. This systematic process ensures that business objectives are met while prioritizing data privacy and regulatory adherence. Question 6. The evaluation methodology shows a company migrating its critical customer data integration processes from an on-premises environment to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OSI. The company operates primarily within the United States and handles sensitive financial and personal information. During the migration planning phase, the integration architects are debating the most critical factor for selecting the OCI region for their integration services. Which of the following considerations is the absolute priority for ensuring compliance with U.S. regulatory frameworks governing data handling and residency? Option A. The availability of the latest OCI integration service features and their perceived performance benefits. Option B. The OCI region's adherence to U.S. data residency laws and specific state-level privacy regulations, such as those governing financial data and consumer information. Option C. The cost-effectiveness of the OCI region and its associated data transfer fees. Option D. The proximity of the OCI region to the majority of the company's end users for reduced latency. The correct answer is A. The availability of the latest OCI integration service features and their perceived performance benefits. Explanation. The evaluation methodology shows a scenario where an organization is migrating its on-premises application integration platform to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OSI. The challenge lies in ensuring that the integration solutions deployed on OCI adhere to the specific data residency and privacy regulations applicable to the organization's operational regions, which are primarily within the United States. This requires a thorough understanding of how OCI services can be configured to meet these requirements, particularly concerning the handling of sensitive customer data. The correct approach involves leveraging OCI's regional capabilities and security features to ensure data residency and compliance with U.S. federal and state privacy laws, such as HIPAA for healthcare data or CCPA for California consumer data, depending on the nature of the data being integrated. This means selecting OCI regions that align with the organization's data residency mandates and implementing appropriate network security controls, encryption, and access management policies within OCI. This approach represents best professional practice because it proactively addresses regulatory obligations, minimizes legal and reputational risks, and builds trust with customers by demonstrating a commitment to data protection. An incorrect approach would be to assume that OCI's global infrastructure inherently satisfies all data residency requirements without specific configuration. This overlooks the nuances of U.S. data privacy laws, which often mandate data to remain within specific geographic boundaries or under specific jurisdictional control. Another incorrect approach would be to prioritize cost savings or ease of deployment over compliance, leading to the selection of OCI services or regions that do not meet the necessary data residency standards. This could result in significant regulatory penalties, data breach liabilities, and damage to the organization's reputation. A third incorrect approach would be to rely solely on the default security settings of OCI services without a tailored compliance strategy. While OCI provides robust security, specific regulatory requirements often necessitate custom configurations and controls that go beyond default settings. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that begins with a comprehensive understanding of applicable regulations for all data processed. This should be followed by an assessment of OCI service capabilities and regional offerings against these requirements. A risk-based approach, prioritizing the protection of sensitive data and adherence to legal mandates, should guide the selection and configuration of integration solutions. Continuous monitoring and auditing of the deployed solutions are also crucial to ensure ongoing compliance. Question 7. The audit findings indicate that a critical integration flow within Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, is transmitting personally identifiable information, PI, in plain text between two cloud applications, bypassing any explicit data masking or encryption configurations within the integration itself. This poses a significant risk of data exposure should the communication channel be compromised. Which of the following approaches best addresses this audit finding while adhering to robust security and compliance principles within the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure ecosystem? Option A. Update the integration to log all transmitted PII to a separate, less secure logging service for easier auditing and troubleshooting. Option B. Implement OIC's built-in data masking policies to mask sensitive fields before they are transmitted and configure encryption for the data at rest within the target application storage. Option C. Rely solely on the underlying network security protocols, e.g., TLS, to protect the data in transit, assuming this is sufficient for PII. Option D. Disable the integration flow temporarily until a more comprehensive security review can be conducted, without implementing any immediate technical controls. The correct answer is B. Implement OIC's built-in data masking policies to mask sensitive fields before they are transmitted and configure encryption for the data at rest within the target application storage. Explanation. The audit findings indicate a potential misconfiguration in the Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC service, specifically concerning the handling of sensitive data during integration flows. This scenario is professionally challenging because it directly impacts data security and compliance, requiring a deep understanding of OIC's capabilities and the relevant regulatory landscape. The professional must balance the need for efficient integration with the imperative to protect sensitive information, as mandated by data privacy regulations. The correct approach involves leveraging OIC's built-in security features and adhering to best practices for data masking and encryption. This represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the identified audit finding by implementing controls that minimize the risk of unauthorized access or exposure of sensitive data. Specifically, using OIC's data masking policies and encryption mechanisms ensures that data is protected both in transit and at rest, aligning with the principles of data minimization and security by design, which are fundamental to regulatory compliance frameworks like GDPR or CCPA, depending on the jurisdiction, though for this exam, we focus on general OCI principles that support such regulations. An incorrect approach that involves disabling security features to improve performance would be a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This directly contravenes the principle of protecting sensitive data, increasing the likelihood of data breaches and noncompliance with data privacy laws. Such an action would expose the organization to severe legal penalties, reputational damage, and loss of customer trust. Another incorrect approach, such as relying solely on network-level security without implementing application-level data protection, is also professionally unacceptable. While network security is important, it does not protect data once it has entered the integration flow or if the network perimeter is breached. This approach fails to implement defense in depth, leaving sensitive data vulnerable within the application layer. A third incorrect approach, which is to ignore the audit finding and assume the data is not sensitive enough to warrant specific controls, represents a failure in risk assessment and due diligence. This demonstrates a lack of understanding of the potential impact of data exposure and a disregard for regulatory obligations. It is a passive approach that invites future compliance issues and security incidents. The professional reasoning process for such situations should involve a thorough risk assessment of the data being processed, a comprehensive review of OIC's security features and their applicability, and a clear understanding of the organization's compliance obligations. The decision-making framework should prioritize security and compliance, even if it requires additional configuration or a slight impact on performance. Professionals should always consult relevant documentation, security advisories, and internal compliance policies before implementing any changes to integration flows, especially those involving sensitive data. Question 8. Cost-benefit analysis shows that implementing a near real-time synchronization for critical financial transaction data between an on-premises ERP system and an OCI-based accounting application offers significant advantages in reducing reporting delays and improving financial decision-making accuracy. Considering the regulatory landscape for financial data handling, which integration pattern within Oracle Cloud Infrastructure best supports these objectives while ensuring auditability and compliance? Option A. A scheduled batch integration pattern that extracts data from the ERP system at fixed intervals and loads it into the accounting application with basic error reporting. Option B. An event-driven integration pattern utilizing Oracle Integration Cloud to subscribe to events from the ERP system and publish them to the accounting application with comprehensive logging and retry mechanisms. Option C. A point-to-point integration using custom code deployed on OCI compute instances, relying on manual monitoring for data synchronization status. Option D. A file-based integration where the ERP system generates transaction files that are manually uploaded to an OCI object storage bucket for processing by the accounting application. The correct answer is B. An event-driven integration pattern utilizing Oracle Integration Cloud to subscribe to events from the ERP system and publish them to the accounting application, with comprehensive logging and retry mechanisms. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge in selecting the most appropriate integration pattern for a critical financial data synchronization process within an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure (OCI) environment. The core difficulty lies in balancing the need for real-time data accuracy, auditability, and compliance with regulatory requirements against the operational overhead and complexity of different integration solutions. Professionals must exercise careful judgment to ensure the chosen solution not only meets functional requirements, but also adheres to the principles of data integrity and security mandated by financial regulations. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a robust, event-driven integration pattern that inherently supports near real-time synchronization and provides detailed audit trails. This aligns with the stringent requirements for financial data processing, where timely and accurate reporting is paramount. The use of Oracle Integration Cloud's capabilities for event-driven architectures, such as leveraging Oracle Event Hub or integrating with other messaging services, ensures that changes are propagated immediately and can be traced through the system. This proactive approach minimizes data discrepancies and facilitates compliance with financial reporting standards by providing an immutable record of transactions. An incorrect approach that relies on batch processing for this financial data synchronization would represent a significant regulatory and ethical failure. Batch processing introduces latency, increasing the risk of data staleness and potential discrepancies between systems. In a financial context, this can lead to inaccurate reporting, incorrect financial decisions, and non-compliance with regulations that demand timely and accurate financial data. Furthermore, the lack of immediate visibility into data changes makes auditing more complex and less effective, potentially masking fraudulent activities or errors. Another incorrect approach that neglects robust error handling and retry mechanisms would also be professionally unacceptable. In financial integrations, even minor data transmission failures can have cascading effects, leading to financial losses or regulatory penalties. A solution without comprehensive error management is inherently fragile and fails to uphold the duty of care to ensure data integrity and system reliability, which are fundamental ethical and regulatory expectations in the financial sector. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough assessment of business requirements, including the criticality of data timeliness and accuracy. This should be followed by an evaluation of available integration patterns within OCI, considering their suitability for event-driven versus batch processing, their inherent auditability features, and their ability to handle errors gracefully. A risk-based approach is essential, prioritizing solutions that minimize data latency and maximize transparency and auditability, thereby ensuring compliance with relevant financial regulations and upholding ethical standards of data management. Question 9. Investigation of the most suitable Oracle Cloud infrastructure integration strategy for synchronizing sensitive customer financial data between an on-premises banking application and a cloud-based CRM system, considering stringent data privacy regulations and the need for an auditable trail of all data exchanges. Option A. Develop a custom integration solution using OCI function, pushing data directly to the CRM's API without intermediate validation or logging. Option B. Employ Oracle Object Storage as a staging area, with data files transferred via SFTP and then processed by the CRM, without explicit encryption during transfer. Option C. Implement a direct API gateway integration between the on-premises application and the CRM, relying on client-side encryption for data in transit. Option D. Utilize Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, with its pre-built financial adapters, robust security policies, and comprehensive logging features to orchestrate the data flow and ensure compliance. The correct answer is D. Utilize Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, with its pre-built financial adapters, robust security policies, and comprehensive logging features to orchestrate the data flow and ensure compliance. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge in selecting the most appropriate Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, integration service for a critical financial data synchronization task. The challenge lies in balancing performance requirements, security mandates, and the need for reliable, auditable data transfer within the strict regulatory landscape governing financial services. Misjudging the service capabilities or compliance features could lead to data breaches, regulatory penalties, and operational failures. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves leveraging Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, with its robust security features, built-in adapters for financial systems, and comprehensive auditing capabilities. OIC is designed for enterprise-grade integrations, offering features like encryption in transit and at rest, granular access controls, and detailed logging that are essential for meeting financial industry compliance standards. Its ability to handle complex transformations and orchestrations ensures data integrity and accuracy during synchronization. This aligns with best practices for secure and compliant application integration in regulated environments. Incorrect approach is analysis. Choosing a simpler, less feature-rich integration service without adequate security controls would be a significant regulatory failure. For instance, using a basic API gateway for direct, unmanaged data transfer between financial systems without encryption or robust authentication would violate data protection regulations and expose sensitive information. Similarly, opting for a custom-built integration solution without adhering to secure coding practices and comprehensive testing would introduce vulnerabilities and make it difficult to demonstrate compliance with audit requirements. Relying solely on client-side encryption without server-side validation and logging also presents a compliance risk, as it shifts the burden of proof and control away from the enterprise. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach such decisions by first thoroughly understanding the data's sensitivity, the regulatory requirements e.g., PCI DSS, SOX, GDPR if applicable to the jurisdiction, and the integration's criticality. A risk-based assessment should guide the selection of services, prioritizing those with proven security certifications, comprehensive auditing, and features that directly address compliance needs. Engaging with security and compliance teams early in the design phase is crucial. When evaluating OCI services, a detailed review of their compliance documentation and security white papers is essential. The decision-making process should involve a comparative analysis of how each potential service meets the specific security, reliability, and auditability requirements, rather than focusing solely on cost or ease of initial setup. Question 10. What factors determine the most compliant and secure approach for integrating customer data between an on-premises CRM system and an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OSI-based order management system, considering the need to protect personally identifiable information, PI? Option A. The perceived speed and ease of implementing the integration, regardless of the underlying security mechanisms. Option B. The use of standard, widely adopted integration protocols without explicit consideration for data encryption or access restrictions. Option C. The extent to which the integration pattern leverages OCI's native security features, such as encryption, access controls, and audit logging, and adheres to data minimization principles. Option D. The ability to transfer the maximum amount of customer data in real time to ensure immediate availability for the order management system. The correct answer is C. The extent to which the integration pattern leverages OCI's native security features, such as encryption, access controls, and audit logging, and adheres to data minimization principles. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration, ensuring data privacy and compliance when integrating disparate systems, particularly when sensitive customer data is involved. The professional challenge lies in balancing the need for seamless data flow and application interoperability with the stringent requirements of data protection regulations. Misinterpreting or overlooking these requirements can lead to significant legal penalties, reputational damage, and loss of customer trust. Careful judgment is required to select integration patterns that inherently support compliance. The correct approach prioritizes integration patterns that offer robust security and data governance features, aligning with the principles of data minimization and purpose limitation, often mandated by regulations. Specifically, using Oracle Integration Cloud's built-in security features, such as encryption at rest and in transit, access controls, and audit logging, directly addresses regulatory concerns about unauthorized access and data breaches. Furthermore, designing integrations to process only necessary data and to securely store or discard it after processing aligns with data minimization principles. This proactive approach to security and compliance is considered best professional practice because it embeds regulatory adherence into the integration architecture from the outset, rather than attempting to retrofit it later. This aligns with the principle of privacy by design and security by design, which are foundational to many data protection frameworks. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the speed of data transfer without considering data sensitivity or regulatory mandates fails to uphold data protection obligations. This could lead to the inadvertent exposure of sensitive information, violating regulations that require appropriate technical and organizational measures to protect personal data. Another incorrect approach that relies on unencrypted data transfer channels, even for internal systems, poses a significant security risk. If these channels are compromised, sensitive data could be intercepted, leading to a data breach and noncompliance with regulations requiring data confidentiality. Finally, an approach that neglects to implement proper access controls and auditing mechanisms for the integration platform itself creates vulnerabilities. Without these controls, unauthorized individuals could access or manipulate integration flows and the data they handle, resulting in regulatory violations related to data integrity and accountability. The professional decision-making process should involve a thorough understanding of the data being integrated, the applicable regulatory landscape, e.g., GDPR, CCPA, or relevant industry-specific regulations, and the capabilities of the chosen integration platform. A risk-based assessment should guide the selection of integration patterns and security measures. Professionals should consult with legal and compliance teams to ensure that integration strategies meet all regulatory requirements. Prioritizing solutions that offer built-in compliance features and robust security controls is crucial for mitigating risks and ensuring ethical data handling. Question 11. When evaluating different integration patterns for a critical financial data synchronization process between an on-premises application and an OCI-based service, which approach best ensures data integrity and minimizes the risk of data loss in the event of temporary service unavailability, while also adhering to OCI best practices for resilient integration? Option A. Developing a custom batch processing job that extracts data periodically from the on-premises application and uploads it to an OCI object storage bucket for the OCI service to process. Option B. utilizing Oracle messaging to queue messages asynchronously, allowing the OCI service to consume them at its own pace, with configured retry policies and dead letter queuing. Option C. Implementing a direct synchronous REST API call from the on-premises application to the OCI service, with basic error logging for failures. Option D. Employing a point-to-point integration using Oracle Integration Cloud's scheduled orchestration to poll the on-premises application for changes and push them to the OCI service. The correct answer is C. Implementing a direct synchronous REST API call from the on-premises application to the OCI service, with basic error logging for failures. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration, ensuring data consistency and integrity across distributed systems while adhering to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, best practices, and the implied regulatory compliance expected of an application integration professional. The challenge lies in selecting an integration pattern that not only meets functional requirements, but also minimizes the risk of data loss or corruption, especially in scenarios involving financial transactions or sensitive customer information, where auditability and reliability are paramount. The professional must balance performance, complexity, and the inherent trade-offs of different integration styles. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a robust and reliable integration pattern that inherently handles potential failures and ensures eventual consistency. This aligns with OCI's focus on resilience and fault tolerance. By using a message queuing service like Oracle Messaging, the integration decouples the sender and receiver, providing a buffer that prevents data loss if the receiving service is temporarily unavailable. The asynchronous nature allows for retries and dead letter queues, which are critical for maintaining data integrity and auditability, thereby meeting implicit regulatory expectations for data handling. An incorrect approach that relies on direct synchronous calls without adequate error handling or retry mechanisms is professionally unacceptable. This method creates a tight coupling between services, meaning that if the receiving service is down, the transaction fails immediately, potentially leading to data loss or an inconsistent state. This lack of resilience is a significant ethical and professional failing, as it exposes the business to operational risks and potential regulatory scrutiny for data integrity breaches. Another incorrect approach that involves complex logic for state management and reconciliation without leveraging OCI's managed services is also professionally unsound. While it might seem like a tailored solution, it introduces significant development and maintenance overhead, increasing the likelihood of bugs and inconsistencies. Furthermore, it bypasses the built-in reliability features of OCI services, making it harder to achieve the required level of data integrity and auditability expected in professional integration scenarios. The professional decision-making process should involve a thorough assessment of the integration's criticality, the potential impact of data loss, and the availability of OCI services designed for reliable messaging and asynchronous communication. Prioritizing patterns that offer inherent fault tolerance, retry capabilities, and clear audit trails is essential. Understanding the trade-offs between synchronous and asynchronous patterns, and when each is appropriate, is a key aspect of professional judgment in application integration. Question 12. The control framework reveals that a critical customer-facing application, which stores personally identifiable information, PI, needs to be integrated with a less secure internal analytics platform for reporting purposes. The integration will involve transferring PII. What is the most appropriate strategy to ensure compliance with data privacy regulations and maintain data security throughout the integration process? Option A. Rely on the existing security measures of the customer-facing application and the network firewalls to protect the PII during the transfer. Option B. Disable encryption and data masking for the PII to improve the performance of the data transfer to the analytics platform, assuming the internal network is secure. Option C. Transfer all raw PII to the analytics platform and implement security controls solely within the analytics platform itself after the data has been received. Option D. Implement data masking and encryption for PII both at rest and in transit as part of the integration flow, ensuring that only necessary, anonymized, or pseudonymized data is exposed to the analytics platform. The correct answer is D. Implement data masking and encryption for PII both at rest and in transit as part of the integration flow, ensuring that only necessary, anonymized, or pseudonymized data is exposed to the analytics platform. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration, ensuring data privacy and compliance when integrating disparate systems, especially when one system handles sensitive customer data. The challenge lies in balancing the need for seamless data flow for business operations with the stringent requirements of data protection regulations. The professional must navigate potential conflicts between business objectives and regulatory mandates, requiring a nuanced understanding of both OCI integration services and relevant compliance frameworks. The risk of non-compliance, including potential fines and reputational damage, makes careful judgment paramount. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves leveraging OCI's built-in security and data protection features, specifically focusing on data masking and encryption at rest and in transit. This aligns with the principle of least privilege and data minimization, fundamental tenets of data privacy regulations. By masking sensitive data before it leaves the source system or is processed by less secure downstream application, the integration minimizes the exposure of personally identifiable information, PI. Encryption ensures that any data that is transmitted or stored is unreadable to unauthorized parties. This proactive security posture is a best practice for application integration professionals and directly addresses regulatory requirements for protecting sensitive data. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach is to assume that the existing security of the source system is sufficient for all downstream integrations. This fails to account for the varying security postures of different applications and the potential for data breaches at any point in the integration chain. It represents a regulatory failure by not implementing adequate safeguards for data in transit and at rest across the entire integration lifecycle, potentially violating data protection laws that mandate protection throughout data processing. Another incorrect approach is to disable encryption and masking for performance reasons without a thorough risk assessment and explicit business justification that is documented and approved by compliance and legal teams. This prioritizes operational efficiency over regulatory compliance and data security. It is a significant ethical and regulatory failure, as it knowingly increases the risk of data exposure and noncompliance with data protection mandates. A third incorrect approach is to rely solely on network-level security, e.g., firewalls, to protect sensitive data within the integration. While network security is important, it does not protect data once it has been transmitted or if a system within the network is compromised. This approach is insufficient to meet the granular data protection requirements mandated by regulations, which often require protection at the data level itself. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach to application integration. This involves identifying sensitive data, understanding the regulatory requirements applicable to that data, and designing integrations that incorporate appropriate security controls at each stage. The process should include 1. Data classification. Clearly identify and classify sensitive data elements. 2. Regulatory assessment. Determine all applicable data protection regulations, e.g., GDPR, CCPA, if relevant to the exam's implied jurisdiction. 3. Security design. Integrate security controls such as encryption, masking, and access controls into the integration architecture from the outset. 4. Continuous monitoring. Implement mechanisms to monitor the security and compliance of integrations. 5. Documentation and review. Maintain thorough documentation of security decisions and conduct regular reviews with compliance and legal teams. Question 13. The risk matrix shows a high likelihood of unauthorized access to sensitive customer data during data transfer between on-premises systems and Oracle Integration Cloud. The integration architect needs to design a solution that mitigates this risk while ensuring efficient data flow. Which of the following integration approaches best addresses this requirement within the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure 2023 Application Integration Professional Framework? Option A. Implement a secure tunnel using Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, VPN Connect or Fast Connect, coupled with Oracle Integration Cloud's built-in encryption for data in transit, and enforce strict access control policies on the integration endpoints. Option B. Design the integration to pull data directly from the on-premises database via an unsecured network connection, assuming the on-premises network is inherently secure. Option C. Utilize a public endpoint for the integration and rely solely on application-level encryption provided by the source and target systems. Option D. Bypass Oracle integration, cloud for direct database-to-database replication, using a custom script that transfers data over HTTP without any encryption. The correct answer is A. Implement a secure tunnel using Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, VPN Connect or Fast Connect, coupled with Oracle Integration Cloud's built-in encryption for data in transit, and enforce strict access control policies on the integration endpoints. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration, balancing the need for rapid development and deployment with robust security and compliance requirements. A professional challenge lies in ensuring that the chosen integration patterns and technologies adhere to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure's security best practices and any relevant industry regulations, without becoming a bottleneck to business agility. The risk matrix highlights potential vulnerabilities, and the integration architect must translate these risks into actionable security controls within the OCI environment. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a layered security strategy that is integrated into the application integration lifecycle. By leveraging OCI's native security services and adhering to the principle of least privilege, the solution minimizes the attack surface and ensures that data is protected both in transit and at rest. This proactive security posture is essential for maintaining compliance and building trust with stakeholders. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on speed without adequate security controls would be professionally unacceptable. This would represent a failure to adhere to OCI's security guidelines and potentially violate data protection regulations by exposing sensitive information. Another incorrect approach that over-engineers security with unnecessary complexity would hinder performance and increase operational overhead, failing to meet the business's need for efficient integration. A third incorrect approach that ignores the specific risks identified in the matrix would be a direct contravention of risk management principles and could lead to significant security breaches. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with a thorough understanding of the identified risks. This should be followed by an assessment of OCI's available security services and how they can be applied to mitigate those risks. The chosen integration pattern should then be evaluated against these security requirements, ensuring that it aligns with the principle of least privilege and provides adequate data protection. Regular review and adaptation of security measures based on evolving threats and OCI updates are also critical components of professional decision-making in this domain. Question 14. Compliance review shows that a financial services firm is migrating its core banking application integration to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, and must ensure all sensitive customer financial data remains within the United States for processing and storage, in accordance with U.S. federal regulations. Which of the following integration approaches best ensures adherence to these data residency requirements? Option A. Configuring OCI services to explicitly restrict data processing and storage to U.S.-based regions, and implementing robust encryption for data in transit and at rest, with detailed audit logging enabled for all integration activities. Option B. Relying on the default security settings of OCI's integration services without specific configuration for data residency, as OCI is a reputable cloud provider. Option C. Implementing integration patterns that utilize third-party data anonymization services before data enters OCI, without verifying the residency of the anonymization service itself. Option D. Deploying integration solutions that leverage OCI's global network of regions, assuming that data will be automatically routed to the most efficient location for processing. The correct answer is A. Configuring OCI services to explicitly restrict data processing and storage to U.S.-based regions, and implementing robust encryption for data in transit and at rest, with detailed audit logging enabled for all integration activities. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent tension between rapid cloud adoption and the stringent requirements of regulatory compliance, specifically concerning data residency and privacy. The organization is seeking to leverage Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, for application integration, but must ensure that data processed and stored within OCI adheres to the relevant U.S. federal regulations for financial services. The challenge lies in balancing the agility and scalability benefits of cloud services with the non-negotiable mandates of data protection, auditability, and access control mandated by U.S. financial regulations. Careful judgment is required to select an integration strategy that not only meets business objectives, but also demonstrably satisfies these critical compliance obligations. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a thorough understanding and explicit configuration of OCI services to meet specific U.S. regulatory requirements for financial data. This involves leveraging OCI's built-in compliance features, such as data residency controls and encryption, and ensuring that integration patterns are designed with audit trails and access controls that align with regulations like those enforced by the SEC and FINRA. By proactively embedding compliance into the integration architecture, the organization demonstrates due diligence and a commitment to protecting sensitive financial data, thereby mitigating legal, financial, and reputational risks. This approach is ethically sound as it upholds the duty to protect customer data and comply with established legal frameworks. An incorrect approach that involves deploying integration solutions without explicitly verifying OCI's adherence to U.S. financial data residency requirements would be a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This oversight could lead to data being processed or stored in jurisdictions that violate U.S. law, resulting in severe penalties, fines, and loss of customer trust. Another incorrect approach, such as relying solely on general cloud security best practices without mapping them to specific financial regulatory mandates, fails to address the unique and often more rigorous compliance demands of the financial sector. This can leave critical gaps in data protection and auditability. A third incorrect approach, which involves assuming OCI's default configurations are compliant without independent verification or specific configuration for financial data, is also a failure. Regulatory compliance is not a passive state. It requires active management and configuration to ensure alignment with specific legal obligations. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a multi-step approach. First, identify all applicable U.S. federal and state regulations relevant to the type of financial data being integrated. Second, thoroughly research and understand the specific compliance controls and requirements mandated by these regulations, particularly concerning data residency, encryption, access management, and audit logging. Third, evaluate OCI services and features against these identified requirements, focusing on how they can be configured to meet or exceed compliance standards. Fourth, design the integration architecture with compliance as a core requirement, not an afterthought, ensuring that data flows, storage, and access are controlled and auditable. Finally, implement a continuous monitoring and auditing process to ensure ongoing compliance, and adapt to any changes in regulations or OCI service offerings. Question 15. The assessment process reveals that a critical integration between an on-premises application and an Oracle Integration Cloud (OIC) instance involve the transfer and processing of sensitive customer personally identifiable information (PI). The integration needs to comply with data protection guidelines that mandate encryption of data both in transit and at rest, and restrict access to only authorized personnel and services. Which of the following approaches best ensures compliance and security for this integration scenario with an Oracle Cloud infrastructure? Option A. Utilize OCI Vault for managing encryption keys. Configure OCI IAM policies for granular access control to OIC resources, and ensure data is encrypted in transit using TLS/SSL, and at rest using OCI's native encryption capabilities. Option B. Store sensitive PII in plain text within OIC and rely solely on network firewalls to protect the data. Option C. Implement application-level encryption for data before it enters OIC and grant broad network access to the OIC instance. Option D. Encrypt data only in transit using OIC's built-in transport layer security features, and do not implement any specific measures for data at rest within OCI storage. The correct answer is C. Implement application-level encryption for data before it enters OIC and grant broad network access to the OIC instance. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration projects, ensuring that sensitive data remains protected throughout its lifecycle, from ingestion to processing and storage, while adhering to specific regulatory mandates. The challenge lies in balancing the need for efficient data integration with the stringent requirements of data privacy and security regulations applicable within the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. OSI ecosystem, particularly concerning data residency and access controls. Professionals must navigate the complexities of OCI services and their inherent security features to implement a compliant solution. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves leveraging OCI's built-in security and compliance features to encrypt data both in transit and at rest, and to implement granular access controls. Specifically, using OCI Vault for managing encryption keys and OCI Identity and Access Management, EAM, to restrict access to sensitive data ensures that only authorized personnel and services can interact with the data. This aligns with the principle of least privilege and data minimization, fundamental to regulatory compliance frameworks like GDPR or CCPA. Though the exam jurisdiction is OCI-specific, these principles are universally applicable in cloud security. Encrypting data in transit using TLS/SSL and at rest using OCI's encryption capabilities, e.g., transparent data encryption for databases. Object storage encryption directly addresses the requirement to protect data from unauthorized disclosure. Implementing robust IAM policies ensures that access is granted based on roles and responsibilities, preventing unauthorized access and potential data breaches. This proactive security posture is a cornerstone of professional practice in cloud integration. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach would be to rely solely on application-level encryption without utilizing OCI's native encryption services. This is a regulatory failure because it creates a single point of failure and bypasses OCI's integrated security controls, which are designed to meet compliance standards. It also increases the complexity of key management and auditing. Another incorrect approach is to grant broad access permissions to integration services and users, assuming that the integration process itself is inherently secure. This violates the principle of least privilege and significantly increases the risk of unauthorized data access or modification, leading to potential data breaches and noncompliance with data protection regulations. A third incorrect approach would be to store sensitive data in unencrypted formats within OCI services, even if access is restricted. This is a direct violation of data at rest encryption requirements mandated by most data privacy regulations, leaving data vulnerable in the event of a security incident or unauthorized access to underlying storage. Professional reasoning. Professionals must adopt a defense-in-depth strategy when integrating applications on OCI. This involves understanding the specific data sensitivity and regulatory requirements, then mapping these to OCI's security services. The decision-making process should prioritize native OCI security features for encryption, key management, and access control. When evaluating integration patterns, always consider how data will be protected at each stage. If a proposed solution bypasses or weakens OCI's native security controls, it should be flagged for review. Continuous monitoring and auditing of access logs and encryption status are also critical components of maintaining compliance and professional responsibility. Question 16. Market research demonstrates that organizations are increasingly adopting Oracle Cloud infrastructure for application integration, but often struggle to ensure their integration patterns meet the stringent data privacy and security regulations applicable to their industry. When designing an integration solution using OCI services like Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, and API Gateway, which approach best ensures adherence to these regulatory requirements without compromising integration functionality? Option A. Rely on the default security settings provided by OCI services, assuming they are compliant with all relevant industry regulations. Option B. Implement robust data encryption at rest and in transit, configure granular identity and access management, EAM, policies based on the principle of least privilege, and ensure comprehensive audit logging is enabled for all integration activities and API access. Option C. Focus primarily on achieving high integration performance and scalability, addressing compliance concerns only if specifically flagged during a regulatory audit. Option D. Utilize third-party security tools that are not natively integrated with OCI, as they often provide more advanced compliance features than OCI's built-in capabilities. The correct answer is B. Implement robust data encryption at rest and in transit, configure granular identity and access management, EAM, policies based on the principle of least privilege, and ensure comprehensive audit logging is enabled for all integration activities and API access. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration projects, balancing the need for rapid development and deployment with stringent regulatory compliance requirements. The professional challenge lies in ensuring that data handling, access controls, and audit logging within Oracle Cloud Infrastructure (OSI) services, specifically those used for application integration, meet the standards mandated by the relevant regulatory framework. Failure to do so can lead to significant legal penalties, reputational damage, and loss of customer trust. The correct approach involves a proactive and integrated strategy for regulatory compliance. This means embedding compliance considerations into the design and implementation phases of the integration solution. Specifically, leveraging OCI's built-in security features, such as Identity and Access Management (IAM), for granular access control, virtual cloud networks, VCN for network isolation, and robust logging services, e.g. OCI Audit, OCI Logging, for comprehensive audit trails is paramount. Adhering to the principle of least privilege and ensuring data encryption at rest and in transit are fundamental to meeting regulatory obligations. This approach represents best professional practice because it aligns with the principles of secure by design and privacy by design, which are increasingly mandated by regulatory bodies. It demonstrates a commitment to responsible data stewardship and minimizes the risk of non-compliance. An incorrect approach would be to treat compliance as an afterthought, implementing security controls only after the integration is built or when an audit is imminent. This often leads to costly retrofitting and may not fully address all regulatory requirements. Another incorrect approach is to rely solely on the default configurations of OCI services without understanding their implications for compliance. Default settings may not be sufficient to meet specific regulatory mandates regarding data residency, access logging, or data retention. Furthermore, neglecting to document the compliance controls and their implementation would be a significant ethical and regulatory failure, as it prevents proper oversight and verification. Professionals should adopt a decision-making process that prioritizes understanding the specific regulatory requirements applicable to the data being integrated and the business context. This involves consulting with legal and compliance experts early in the project lifecycle. The next step is to map these requirements to the capabilities of OCI services, identifying the most effective and compliant configurations. Regular reviews and audits, both internal and external, should be scheduled to ensure ongoing adherence to regulations. A culture of continuous improvement, where compliance is seen as an integral part of the integration lifecycle, is essential. Question 17. Compliance review shows that a new SaaS application needs to be integrated with existing on-premises systems using Oracle Cloud Infrastructure (OSI). The integration involves sensitive customer data, and the organization operates in a jurisdiction with strict data residency and privacy laws, though the specific regulations are not yet fully clarified for this particular integration scenario. Which approach best ensures regulatory compliance during the OCI integration process? Option A. Assume that Oracle Cloud Infrastructure's global infrastructure inherently satisfies all data residency requirements, and focus solely on technical connectivity and data transformation aspects of the integration. Option B. Proceed with the integration using OCI's standard integration services and default security settings, assuming they meet general compliance standards, and address any specific regulatory findings post-implementation. Option C. Immediately engage legal counsel and compliance officers to thoroughly understand the applicable data residency, privacy, and security regulations for the specific data types and jurisdictions involved, and design the OCI integration architecture accordingly. Option D. Prioritize the speed of integration and business functionality, and defer any detailed regulatory compliance checks until after the system is fully operational and has passed initial security audits. The correct answer is B. Proceed with the integration using OCI's standard integration services and default security settings, assuming they meet general compliance standards, and address any specific regulatory findings post-implementation. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent tension between rapid cloud adoption and the stringent requirements of regulatory compliance, specifically concerning data residency and access controls within Oracle Cloud Infrastructure (OSI). The need to integrate a new SaaS application with existing on-premises systems while ensuring compliance with data protection regulations, without explicit guidance on the specific jurisdiction, necessitates a cautious and informed approach. The challenge lies in balancing business agility with the non-negotiable legal and ethical obligations of data handling. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes understanding and adhering to the applicable regulatory framework before implementing technical solutions. By engaging legal counsel and compliance officers, the integration team ensures that the chosen OCI services and configurations align with data residency laws, privacy regulations, such as GDPR, if the jurisdiction implies it, or equivalent local regulations and security standards. This proactive engagement mitigates the risk of non-compliance, which can lead to severe financial penalties, reputational damage, and operational disruption. It demonstrates a commitment to responsible data stewardship and a thorough understanding of the legal landscape governing cloud integrations. An incorrect approach that involves proceeding with integration without confirming data residency requirements is professionally unacceptable. This failure constitutes a direct violation of data protection laws, which mandate that certain types of data must reside within specific geographic boundaries. Such an oversight can lead to significant legal repercussions, including fines and sanctions, and erodes trust with customers and stakeholders. Another incorrect approach, which is to assume that OCI's default security configurations are sufficient for all regulatory needs, is also professionally flawed. While OCI offers robust security features, regulatory compliance often involves specific data handling, logging, and access control policies that may go beyond default settings. Relying solely on defaults without a compliance assessment risks overlooking critical requirements, leading to potential breaches of regulatory mandates and subsequent penalties. The professional reasoning process for such situations should begin with a comprehensive understanding of the business objectives and the technical requirements of the integration. Crucially, this must be immediately followed by identifying and understanding all relevant regulatory obligations pertaining to the data being processed and the jurisdictions involved. Engaging with legal and compliance experts early in the project lifecycle is paramount. This collaborative approach ensures that technical solutions are designed and implemented within a compliant framework, rather than attempting to retrofit compliance measures after the fact. A risk-based assessment, focusing on the sensitivity of the data and the potential impact of non-compliance, should guide decision-making throughout the integration process. Question 18. Market research demonstrates a growing demand for real-time data synchronization between on-premises financial systems and cloud-based customer relationship management (CRM) applications to enhance sales team productivity. An integration architect is tasked with designing an OCI-based solution to achieve this. The architect is aware that the data being synchronized includes customer financial details, which are considered sensitive personally identifiable information (PI) under U.S. federal and state regulations. Which of the following integration approaches best balances the need for real-time synchronization with regulatory compliance requirements for handling PII? Option A. Design an integration using OCI services that first anonymizes or tokenizes sensitive financial PII at the source before it is synchronized to the cloud CRM, and then uses OIC for the real-time data transfer of the pseudonymized data. Option B. Utilize Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, to directly map and synchronize all customer financial fields in real time between the on-premises system and the cloud CRM, ensuring the data is transmitted over a secure HTTPS connection. Option C. Leverage OIC to synchronize all customer financial data in real time, relying solely on the inherent security features of the OCI network to protect the data in transit and at rest. Option D. Implement a batch integration process that extracts all customer financial data nightly, encrypts it, and then uploads it to the cloud CRM, accepting a delay in data availability for enhanced security. The correct answer is B. Utilize Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC, to directly map and synchronize all customer financial fields in real time between the on-premises system and the cloud CRM, ensuring the data is transmitted over a secure HTTPS connection. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent tension between rapid application integration for business agility and the stringent regulatory requirements for data privacy and security, particularly concerning personally identifiable information, PI. The Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OSI environment, while offering robust integration capabilities, necessitates a thorough understanding of how these integrations interact with sensitive data and the compliance obligations associated with it. The core challenge lies in ensuring that integration patterns, even those designed for efficiency, do not inadvertently create vulnerabilities or violate data handling regulations. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a proactive, risk-based strategy aligned with regulatory frameworks. By embedding compliance checks and data governance principles directly into the integration design and development lifecycle, organizations can mitigate risks before they materialize. This aligns with the principles of privacy by design and security by design, which are fundamental to responsible data handling and regulatory adherence. Specifically, for the U.S. jurisdiction, this would involve adhering to regulations like the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, and potentially HIPAA if health-related data is involved, ensuring that data minimization, purpose limitation, and secure transmission are integral to the integration solution. An incorrect approach that involves implementing integrations without a prior assessment of data sensitivity and regulatory impact is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This oversight can lead to unintentional data breaches, non-compliance penalties, and reputational damage. For instance, transmitting PII through unencrypted channels or storing it in non-compliant locations would violate data protection laws. Another incorrect approach, focusing solely on technical performance without considering data governance, ignores the legal and ethical obligations to protect individuals' privacy. This demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a failure to uphold professional responsibility in safeguarding sensitive information. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured risk assessment framework. This begins with identifying all data flows within the integration, classifying the sensitivity of the data being processed, and mapping these flows against relevant regulatory requirements. Subsequently, integration patterns and technologies should be selected and configured to inherently support compliance, such as employing encryption, access controls, and data masking where appropriate. Continuous monitoring and auditing of integration endpoints and data handling practices are also crucial to maintain compliance over time. Question 19. Strategic planning requires a thorough understanding of potential threats and vulnerabilities when designing an integration solution for sensitive customer data within Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Which of the following approaches best ensures that the integration adheres to relevant data protection regulations and maintains customer trust? Option A. Assign the entire risk assessment responsibility to the security team, with minimal involvement from the integration architects who are focused on technical implementation. Option B. Proceed with the integration deployment as quickly as possible, relying on default OCI security settings and assuming that standard configurations are sufficient for compliance. Option C. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment early in the design phase, mapping identified risks to specific regulatory requirements and implementing appropriate mitigation strategies within the OCI architecture. Option D. Perform a high-level risk assessment that only considers the most apparent security risks, deferring detailed compliance checks to a later stage of the project. The correct answer is C. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment early in the design phase, mapping identified risks to specific regulatory requirements and implementing appropriate mitigation strategies within the OCI architecture. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in cloud integration projects, balancing the need for rapid deployment with robust security and compliance. The organization is under pressure to deliver a new customer-facing application quickly, but the integration involves sensitive customer data. The challenge lies in ensuring that the integration strategy, while agile, does not compromise data privacy or violate regulatory requirements, particularly those relevant to the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OSI, ecosystem, and its associated compliance obligations. The professional must navigate the inherent tension between speed and security, making a judgment call that prioritizes long-term trust and regulatory adherence over short-term expediency. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a proactive and comprehensive risk assessment that is integrated into the early stages of the integration design. This aligns with best practices in cloud security and data governance, which emphasize a security by design and privacy by design philosophy. Specifically for OSI, this means leveraging OCI's built-in security features and adhering to Oracle's recommended integration patterns that inherently consider compliance. A thorough risk assessment identifies potential vulnerabilities in the data flow, access controls, and data handling processes. By mapping these risks to specific regulatory requirements, e.g., data residency, encryption standards, access logging, the team can implement appropriate mitigation strategies. This approach ensures that compliance is not an afterthought but a foundational element of the integration architecture, thereby safeguarding sensitive data and maintaining customer trust, which is paramount in the application integration professional's role. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to prioritize immediate deployment without a formal risk assessment, assuming that standard OCI security configurations are sufficient. This is a significant regulatory and ethical failure because it bypasses due diligence. It implicitly assumes a trust but verify model for sensitive data, which is unacceptable under most data protection regulations. This approach risks data breaches, non-compliance penalties, and reputational damage. Another incorrect approach is to conduct a superficial risk assessment that only addresses obvious threats, neglecting the nuances of data handling and regulatory specifics. This is also a failure as it creates a false sense of security. Regulations often have detailed requirements for data processing, consent management, and breach notification that a shallow assessment would miss. This can lead to unintentional noncompliance and expose the organization to legal and financial repercussions. A third incorrect approach is to delegate the entire risk assessment to a separate security team without involving the integration architects. While collaboration is key, the integration architects are the ones designing the data flows and understanding the technical implementation. Without their direct input, the risk assessment may be theoretical and not practically applicable to the integration's design, leading to gaps in mitigation strategies and potential compliance oversights. This can result in an integration that is technically sound but fails to meet regulatory mandates due to a lack of integrated understanding. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach to cloud integration. This involves 1. Understanding the data. Classify the sensitivity of the data being integrated. 2. Identifying regulatory obligations. Determine all applicable data protection and privacy laws relevant to the data and the regions of operation. 3. Threat modeling. Analyze potential threats to the data throughout its lifecycle within the integration. 4. Risk assessment. Evaluate the likelihood and impact of identified threats, considering existing controls. 5. Mitigation planning. Design and implement controls to reduce identified risks to an acceptable level, prioritizing those that address regulatory noncompliance. 6. Continuous monitoring. Establish processes for ongoing assessment and adaptation of security and compliance measures. This systematic process ensures that integration projects are not only functional and efficient, but also secure and compliant, fostering trust and minimizing potential liabilities. Question 20. The monitoring system demonstrates an unusual spike in error rates for a critical customer-facing integration. The spike is intermittent and not directly correlated with any known deployment or maintenance activity. What is the most appropriate next step for the application integration professional? Option A. Ignore the alert as it is intermittent and may resolve itself without intervention. Option B. Immediately disable the integration to prevent any further potential data corruption or service disruption. Option C. Initiate a rollback of the integration to its last known stable configuration to immediately stop the errors. Option D. Gather additional diagnostic data, analyze logs from both the source and target systems, and consult with the relevant application teams to identify the root cause before taking corrective action. The correct answer is C. Initiate a rollback of the integration to its last known stable configuration to immediately stop the errors. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent tension between maintaining system availability and ensuring data integrity and security, especially in the context of application integration. The need to respond to a potential anomaly without causing further disruption requires a balanced and informed approach. Careful judgment is essential to avoid overreacting and causing an outage, or underreacting and allowing a critical issue to persist. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, evidence-based investigation before implementing drastic measures. This aligns with the principles of responsible system management and adherence to established operational procedures, which are implicitly expected in professional IT environments governed by best practices and potential regulatory compliance frameworks. Though specific regulations are not mandated for this exam, the principles of due diligence and risk mitigation are universal. By gathering more data and consulting with relevant teams, the integration professional ensures that any subsequent action is targeted, effective, and minimizes unintended consequences. This methodical process also supports auditability and post-incident analysis, crucial for continuous improvement. An incorrect approach that immediately reverts to a previous stable state without understanding the root cause is professionally unacceptable because it risks masking a persistent underlying issue. This could lead to recurring problems and a false sense of security. It also bypasses the opportunity to learn from the anomaly, hindering system resilience and future troubleshooting. Furthermore, such an action might violate operational policies that mandate root cause analysis for any significant system event, potentially leading to compliance issues if audit trails are required. An incorrect approach that involves disabling the integration without further investigation is also professionally unsound. While it might temporarily stop the observed behavior, it does so without understanding its origin or impact. This could lead to business disruptions if the integration is critical. Ethically, it represents a failure of due diligence, as a professional is expected to investigate before taking potentially disruptive actions. It also fails to address the actual problem, which might lie elsewhere and continue to manifest in other ways. An incorrect approach that involves ignoring the alert and continuing normal operations is the most egregious failure. This demonstrates a disregard for system health and potential risks. It directly contradicts the purpose of monitoring systems, which is to detect and alert on anomalies. Ethically and professionally, this is a dereliction of duty, as it exposes the organization to potential data corruption, security breaches, or service interruption. It also represents a failure to adhere to basic risk management principles, leaving the system vulnerable. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured incident response framework. This typically includes 1. Acknowledge and assess, understand the alert and its potential impact. 2. Investigate, gather more data, analyze logs, and consult with subject matter experts. 3. Contain. If necessary, implement temporary measures to prevent further damage, but with a clear plan for resolution. 4. Eradicate. Identify and fix the root cause. 5. Recover. Restore normal operations. 6. Review. Conduct a post-incident analysis to learn and improve. This systematic approach ensures that actions are proportionate, effective, and contribute to long-term system stability and security.